Welcome everyone to the next broadcast of Live from the View here in Bellevue, Tennessee. Bell Vegas is what we like to call it. So we have a really incredibly special show for all of you this evening. By the way, this is also being presented by the Community Arts of Bellevue, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that was created to promote and uplift the arts of Nashville. And so with that, like I said, we have an incredible opportunity and program to share with you this evening. This is going to be a joint venture between Cheekwood and the Nashville Ballet. And this is probably a first time event that's going to happen here. So I want to bring with you and announce to you or introduce to you the two people we're going to talk with this evening. I look forward to both of these. So Katelyn Bennett is with Cheekwood. Katelyn is the curator of furniture, decorative arts, and architecture at the Cheekwood. What a title. I love that. I think I want it for myself.
Throw everything in there, right? It's like,
well, all we're lacking is the kitchen sink, right?
Absolutely.
But that might go up under furniture. I don't know. It's such a great title. Along with Katelyn, I'll also want to introduce to you this evening Mr. Paul Vasterling, who is a Nashville everything. I mean, Paul, you've been around here for a long time.
I have, yes.
I'm not saying that either one of us are old, because we're not. But you've always made a mark, and you've always had a voice in this community, and I've always appreciated you a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
Paul is the artistic director for the Nashville Ballet. There's probably not many people in this town who have not been to the Nutcracker or seen the Nutcracker at the at TPAC, and it's always a tradition. And your view of that has always been inspirational and lovely. So it's great having both of you here this evening.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. So we're just going to have a conversation this evening. We're going to bring up some slides, some presentations here. And I think we're going to start off with talking about the magic that's happening at Cheekwood right now. And so I will bring it to here. And everyone's just going to have to bear with me as I deal with the technology. And I think that should bring us there. Let me do one more thing. Much better. Much better. Katelyn, thank you for being with us this evening.
Absolutely.
And, let's talk about what's going on at Cheekwood.
Well, honestly, it's like what's not going on at Cheekwood right now. It feels like
yes.
We have been very busy, but right now, beginning tomorrow, we're actually getting ready to start our holiday season at Cheekwood. So believe it or not, we are in our 6th year for Holiday Lights at this point.
Wow.
I don't know if you've been to Holiday Lights yet.
Yeah, not this year. But yeah.
Okay, well, obviously not yet this year, but in the past. But it is quickly becoming one of Nashville's, kind of new family favorite traditions, and for many good reasons. There's so many kind of fun things that are constantly happening here, and like I said, this year there's a lot. We have taken the time to kind of expand the magic that happens within the gardens and also inside in the mansion with all the creativity and all the artwork. And it's really something spectacular this year, especially as we've kind of hinted, we've done something special with the Nashville Ballet. But right now we have up since June or July, we've been busy stringing lights. We have over 1 million lights in the gardens. So guests can kind of come in and take a personalized, a walk around, a personal stroll at your own pace through the gardens. And it's about a mile loop or so around, and experience all the kind of the twinkling lights and all the different lighting displays in the gardens. And for this year only, as you'll see here in this image, Holiday Lights is happening in conjunction with our major Chihuly exhibition. So Dale Chihuly is a world-renowned glass artist, and we have several of his large-scale installations in the gardens and inside the mansion. So there's an extra special kind of glow, like is it happening this year? So Chihuly's art is up, and that was actually voted, the best art happening of 2020. So we're very fortunate to kind of host that this year as well. So Dale Chihuly's artwork is up, the Holiday Lights is up. And with Holiday Lights, you have everything from, real actual reindeer and poinsettias everywhere. We have, typically in the past, we have like a 20-foot poinsettia tree. This year it has been relocated to the stable, to the Frist Learning Center, to the Grand Hall there. But we have poinsettia walls inside in the mansion. There are s'mores pits. I mean, who doesn't love a s'more when you're out walking around in the cold? There's multiple different bars, festive music. We have different kind of programming throughout the season as well. So there's a lot of things that are happening right now at Cheekwood for Holiday Lights. New this year, and I would actually maybe move to the next slide, if possible. Okay, so there's our live reindeer. So every year we have a fun naming competition. So the reindeer become a quick family staple. Basically, we have to bring back every year for Holiday Lights. But the naming competition this year, we have Holly and Hope here to see. So they're out basically all day and all evening if you want to come by and come check out Santa's reindeer. And then go to the next slide.
They're absolutely stunning. Those
Aren't they adorable?
Every year I just love them. And when they were at the stables, I always loved going to see them. It makes Christmas kind of real, It's like,
absolutely. And we have a resident reindeer expert, Hall Whitaker, who I believe you had talked with before in the past. He could tell you any sort of reindeer fact you wanted to know. So it's a fully immersive experience at Cheekwood.
I think so too.
Let's see what's next. So this is kind of what you can expect coming to Cheekwood. We have all our different gardens, so it kind of flanks both sides of the estate. You'll kind of take your own personalized stroll through the gardens and experience all these different types of lights. And then as you make your way up into the mansion, so kind of the pinnacle of the Holiday Lights experience in some ways, we have a thematic holiday display, which annually rotates. In years past, we've done 1930s antique toys that kind of echo the era of the Cheek family estate. So when the estate was built and the Cheek family lived there. So we had a themed holiday installation of antique toys. Last year we did trains, which was a real crowd pleaser. I didn't know people were so connected and fond of trains, but that was a fun experience to kind of be able to bring, the Holiday Lights Express inside. And then this year we are working with the Nashville Ballet, and we have presented the Nutcracker Marche inside the mansion. So this year we have installed several different costumes. I believe we have 13 costumes from the production of Nashville's Nutcracker. So guests get an extra special kind of behind the scenes experience at Cheekwood, walking through the mansion to actually, see these costumes and relive the beloved Nashville Nutcracker story up close and in person. In addition to the Nashville Nutcrackers, we have, believe 85 toy Nutcracker dolls on display in the mansion as well. So that's a lot of fun. We've had some kind of, they're a little mischievous. We've kind of been placing them in some fun locations. You kind of have to look for some of them. But that's been a lot of fun, kind of coordinating this whole theme together inside of the mansion.
That's magical. And the trains, I'm a train freak. I love the trains. Love everything about them. I'm still trying to locate them in the new children's gardens, but I'm still, they're love. I just love them.
Well, they're all done up this year as well for holidays. So they've been have a festive makeover in the children's garden.
That's cool. I love them. I love them. Love them. Love them.
And then, okay, so this is actually probably one of my favorite parts of the holiday install down by the 3 reflecting ponds. We've kind of played around with some of the custom art installations with the lights and really coordinating everything in with the natural landscape and letting kind of the magic happen on its own in some ways when working with the elements of what we have here at Cheekwood. So it's a truly fun experience, and things are kind of constantly rotating. Peter and his team have done a great job. So Peter is our head of facilities and gardens. He's done a great job trying to coordinate and come up with a very creative installation, and it's constantly rotating every year. So if you come back, you're going to see something a little bit different outside.
Yeah, Peter did a show with us a couple months ago when we did the first series with Cheekwood, and he's amazing, brilliant. Yeah. And he did the interview was wonderful. And folks, all of our previous shows are online on either our Facebook page or our YouTube page. And you can go back and see some of the interviews that we did with Peter and with Jane as well. So those are always available. I'll move to the next one for you. Well, it's going to go without me.
So this is something I think loop Paul in on this for sure.
Yeah, as soon as I get my computer to quit acting up a little bit. And there's Paul. There he is.
Hello. Hello again.
So give me just a moment, Paul. I'm going to bring the video up.
Sure. The video, I can start to tell you that the video is a behind the scenes kind of video of us shooting our Nashville's Nutcracker. And this is an unusual year for us because we've done Nutcracker we do Nashville's Nutcracker every year. And out of an abundance of caution, we decided to not do it live this year. So we've filmed it. And this video that you're going to play, I think, is a kind of shows us filming the process. So you see and it's about a 4-camera shoot, sometimes even 5 videos. And we basically made our headquarters over in Sylvan Heights into a soundstage. Our team made it up, and you can see this is where we store all of our scenery. But we made it into a place, and we did that so that we could have control of the space, and particularly because of the coronavirus and the health situation right now, and everyone rehearsed in masks, and we kept basically the environment really, really closed until it was time to shoot, and then we were doing tests before the shooting process happened. So you'll see, this is the costume shop that you're seeing right now. That's the scenery going up in our warehouse. That's we call that the Parthenon Garden. A couple of the dancers rehearsing here. That's the Dewdrop Fairy, who is Molly Sansoni and Brett Seabohm, who is the Nutcracker Prince. And actually, Molly plays both Clara and this Dewdrop Fairy, which she kind of, she's the young girl Clara, and she turns herself into a beautiful fairy. And as you can see me waving my arms about up there in the shooting. It was really an interesting process. We've never done this before, and kind of preserving this this Nutcracker for a long time, and actually allowing a lot more people to see it, which is really exciting. We're partnering with Channel 5 to broadcast it, and the premiere is December 18th at 7 p.m. and then it's going to re-air on the 24th and 25th. This is all on Channel 5 and Channel 5 Plus, I think it's called, and then I believe it might even be on the digital part of Channel 5 coming up in the end of the year toward the new year. So very excited to be able to do this and present it in such a unique fashion, and just so grateful that Channel 5 and that we're able to do this for the community. And there's many people who are sponsoring it. So we're very, very pleased with that. This is just a little bit of the Waltz the Flowers that you can see right now. And you see all the camera work. It was really quite an experience to see this. And we were talking ahead of time up before the show started, and that's what I did, was look into the monitor. You can see my 4 shots, and I'm trying to figure out which is the best one at the time and which one we're going to use. And we had these 4 shots, and I think later on, this is the steady cam shot, which is really, really interesting. And you can see me kind of being a director here, which is kind of funny. Trying to tell the incredibly athletic Steadicam operator, and I say that in all seriousness, he was just as athletic as the dancers, because he was running around them and, keeping the camera from falling and getting these really amazing shots. So you can see that though, and that's the snow machines dropping snow on us. Those are machines. Normally, snow is actually in tea packets done with human labor. It's a very old-fashioned kind of way of doing snow, but we used machines this year, and they worked really quite well. That's the shot we were working on with the Steadicam. That's me watching it backstage as they were making it happen. So December 18th, and that is 7 p.m., and you'll see the whole of our Nutcracker. There's what's really fun about this year is Eddie George is our host, and he will kind of introduce the program and kind of gives a little bit of context to the Nutcracker, and then his voice narrates you through the whole production as we go along. So it's really great for people who may not have seen it before, seen our Nutcracker or any Nutcracker, because Eddie kind of helps to introduce and tell you what's going on in this. This is the Spanish dance that you're seeing right here. And I can go on and on about this Nutcracker. It was premiered, the stage production was premiered in 2008. And I've lived in Nashville for over 30 years, and I've done Nutcracker every year since then. And I used to do another production of Nutcracker, and I have done I've been in the ballet business for over 40 years, and I've done Nutcracker every year. So it's just sort of part of who we are. But I was asked to do a new one for Nashville, and when I tried to figure it out, I wanted to try to connect it to us and connect it to our community directly. So I picked this event that happened in Nashville in 1897, which was the Tennessee Centennial Exposition, and it was a World's Fair, a big deal here. It really kind of put the city on the map. It was designed by businessmen to do that, and it was kind of the thing that smaller cities and kind of up-and-coming cities were doing at the time. So I placed the action in that, and the idea is, as you might know, is that Nutcracker has the second act where they have all of these sort of national dances, I guess you could call them. And I had this idea to connect this visit that Clara, this young heroine of the story, goes to this exposition, and she sees all of these cultures, right here in her own hometown. And then later in the story, when the holidays come, she has a dream about these cultures and unique things that she sees, and it was really fun. And so connecting it back to Cheekwood, we actually have our costumes there, and there's this wonderful historic kind of feel about all of the costumes, and they look really wonderful in the mansion. It's almost like they were made for it, and you kind of get a real sense of what it was all about. I love what's going on at Cheekwood, and I love the holidays and Christmas, because people always say, well, why do ballet companies always do Nutcracker? Why do you guys do company? Because ballet companies across the United States do Nutcracker, and we, as I said, do it every year. And I said it's really like, and people see it. They repeat to see it. They see it all the time. It's really like when you go up into your attic and pull your decorations out, and those are the decorations that you had when you were a kid, or maybe your grandmother gave them to you, or they were passed to you from your parents, or you got them at a special time in your life. And you bring them out to bring that idea of family back to you, or or the feeling of the holidays. And that's what Nutcracker is for us. And that's why I think people like it so much. And it really is, I think when you go to Cheekwood, or when you see our production on television, you'll get that feeling. I'm really excited about it to happen. What else can I tell you? This is the end. That's the end of the apotheosis, which is I kind of, again, there's so many layers to this production, but if you look at this one, you can see that it's in like sepia toned, and Drosselmeyer, who is the magician, is in color. And I was inspired by the film The Wizard of Oz, and you know how The Wizard of Oz goes from kind of black and white to Technicolor. And so the idea is, one of the ideas in the ballet is that Drosselmeyer, this musician, brings this young person, opens up color and light to this young person's life. And so the production sort of progresses, and it starts in sepia, right? And then goes into these fantasy worlds of color. And the color is really saturated and beautiful. And then at the end, she goes back, and the dream, goes backwards, and she ends up at home on her sofa, and back into the sepia world, but still the color is there, the color and light, which Drosselmeyer is holding in his hand there, that orb of light, is still with him. So
it's absolutely stunning, beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and I love your analogy about bringing all the stuff back out of the attic that's been in storage for a year and opening up all those memories. I mean, that's what it is. That's what Christmas is about. It's about those memories and traditions. I really hold to traditions. That's a big thing for me.
Totally. And, it brings, you can look at the ornaments or the decorations, and it makes you think of people. And it makes you think of people in your life that may or may not be around anymore. And, it's really, I think it's a really lovely, lovely time and a lovely thing to do. And I mean, that's what Nutcracker does to me. Someone asked me my first Nutcracker experience the other day. And, it was like I was rushed back into time and remembered the whole thing. It was really kind of fun. I had forgotten about that when, my first time. So.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, here's the mansion. I haven't really seen. I've seen these in passing, so it's really fun. That's Drosselmeyer's costume, right there. I don't know if Katelyn wants to tell us where it is. It's in the mansion, but there's.
Yes, so we have Mr. Drosselmeyer, Uncle Drosselmeyer, I guess.
Yep.
He is in the library space. So placing everything, like you had mentioned, Paul, where things really, truly, in some ways, feel like they fit into the mansion. I felt like we had the perfect platform in some ways to kind of start telling this story and make it realistic and make it a different encounter for guests. Where you're personally kind of walking through the storybook of the Nutcracker and experiencing it firsthand. So we felt that Drosselmeyer's character fit best in our library, where it's kind of rich with mystery and all the books and all the stories and everything that's kind of in there. And it's 18th century pine paneling, so his character fit very well in there.
Yeah, I'll say the designer of the costumes is a guy named Campbell Baird, who is just amazingly expert at historic, and he's just such an amazing artist, and his catalog of knowledge, which he brought to the table when we did this. And I think as you see some of these other costumes, they're so beautiful. What he said, and I just want to mention that because this year is so unusual with everything going on, it actually, a silver lining is that we were able to do this and have the costumes at Cheekwood. Normally, these costumes would be on stage all month, all from Thanksgiving onward at TPAC, because it's where we do it. And it just so happened that we couldn't do it, so we filmed it. It's all done now, and we're able to put these costumes in Cheekwood, which is really unique and wonderful. And we all knew, when we went out to do the site visit the first time, we were like, oh, this is perfect for this. I mean, you could see it all in there, like, immediately. So it's kind of a perfect place for it.
Yeah, it can be more of a perfect setup. I know the idea was it feels like years in the making in some ways, but it was only because we've all been through so much this year. But I remember, packing up or trying to come up with future holiday ideas and stuff. Last year when I was working on trains and Tchaikovsky's the Nutcracker Suite is one of my favorite things to always listen to. You talk about traditions
of course.
and decorating for Christmas. So as I'm coordinating and doing other things, I'm like, idea dawns on me, like we've got to do some sort of amazing collaboration with the ballet. And lo and behold, this is pre-COVID. We had no idea what was coming down the pipe for us in 2020. Right. And you, Paul, and our teams had kind of been talking about this for a while, and it was just kind of almost a perfect storm in some ways. And I'm grateful that we're able to we're doing this. We're able to host you all and have you all here at Cheekwood and still carry on this tradition that, Nashvillians and so many people around the world actually love, and getting to experience it in a different light.
Yes.
Which was actually my first question. So how did this collaboration come together and happen?
Well, I think it was kind of almost exactly like that, as a matter of, I'm always kind of thinking forward of what would be amazing, what would be a next best kind of thing or next exhibition or what something that would be amazing for kind of Cheekwood to accomplish. And like I said, I was just listening to Tchaikovsky, listening to the Nutcracker Suite as I was working and kind of getting into the holiday spirit. And it was from that moment on, I was like, well, no, duh, we need to do the Nutcracker Ballet. That's got to be our next thing. So, and trying to bring in a Nutcracker theme. And then from there, I think that's kind of where the ball started rolling and the ideas started coming. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that's kind of similar. How was it working with for Paul and your team?
Yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, Jane Offenbach McLeod and I have been talking for years about various things. And then you came up with this idea and we said, well, yeah, this actually makes a lot of sense. And what we were trying to figure out is how we were going to manage having the production in two places at once and make that work. And, the universe basically made it work for us this time around. This is really probably a one-time thing. I would suggest that you guys, everybody come and see it. I can't wait to see it myself in real life because it's just going to look so good there.
And that's the neat thing about it too. Like I said, it's an up close and personal experience in some ways. You're used to seeing this kind of from, as an audience member and stuff on stage, but seeing something kind of like this in person and up close is pretty unique.
Yeah, it really truly is. Again, I can't wait to get in there and see it all. I mean, I've always enjoyed every holiday display Cheekwood's ever done. I've always enjoyed everything that Paul and the ballet has ever done. So seeing this together is like a lot of energy coming in. It's like, this will make Christmas really special this year. In a very weird time when special doesn't, we're grasping for special. So this is the moment for that to happen. So what was your inspiration for all of this holiday display and getting together?
Well, I guess I'll start out from my perspective. For ideas for kind of holiday installations like this, there are two very prominent estates in Great Britain called Blenheim Palace and Chatsworth House. And, Cheekwood, in some ways, I hope we continue to aspire to take notes from some of these amazing other estates that have kind of the gardens and art and history and everything all in one. And touring several of these estates overseas during the holiday period, they would do an annual thematic installation in their historic core. So they've done Alice in Wonderland, they've done the Nutcracker, they've done, Chronicles of Narnia, where they've transformed the historic interior into this kind of storybook a place where it kind of brings, a different holiday perspective also on the core of the interior of the house, but also the story, the holiday story, whatever they're trying to tell. And, as we were trying to figure out what is what are we going to change up for Cheekwood in 2020 for holidays? That's, like I said, the Nutcracker idea came to mind and kind of continuing to involve the annual holiday displays of the themes of what we're trying to execute. So that's where kind of inspiration came from for me.
Paul, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Well, I kind of touched on it earlier. This, I was saying that I set this in Nashville in the turn of the century, and it allowed me to really learn a lot about my adopted hometown, and sort of what was happening here and what it was like. I mean, I had to imagine a whole world, and back in that time, there were houses up on I can't remember I think it was called Park Street, maybe, but it was right by the Capitol up on the hill. And there were houses that overlooked the Capitol, and that's where I imagined Clara lived. And then we went over and we kind of got our interiors from Belle Meade. And then I started researching characters who may have been here. And one of the characters, I think we have a photo of her costume. That's the sugar. I'll tell you about these. This is the Sugar Plum Fairy, which I think is so beautiful, and the Sugar Plum Court. And there's a piece of music. I'll digress to this just a little bit, because this piece of music it's the Grand Pas de Deux. It's the very last. It's not in the suite, but it's the last piece in the big ballet, and everybody would recognize it. It's really, really quite gorgeous and very, very romantic. And it comes at the sort of apex of the ballet. And the way I interpret it is that, this fairy, this otherworldly being, is kind of telling Clara, teaching her about what mature and true love is in this. And that's what all the hearts, you can see all the hearts on the tutu and on the court person's thing. And the choreography is actually like that. And the choreography that we do for this is based upon the original choreography from 1892. It's really beautiful. And it is about this mutual kind of respect and mutual kind of elegance and beauty that these two people bring together. And Campbell just went to town with the hearts. And even in the choreography at the very end, this is one of my favorite things, is that they actually walk a pattern, the very climax of the duet, the very, very end, they walk a pattern of a heart on the stage, which not a lot of people don't know, but it's kind of embedded in this wonderful choreography by the Russian guy named Led Ivanov. I just love what he did, and his sense of color and light and all the things that he brought to the table. And also you can tell that it's turn of the century. He kind of played around with the period a little bit, went from the 1890s up into, he pushed, particularly in the party, he pushed into the early 20th century because he likes that time. And it is art. We can kind of do whatever we want a little bit. And, but anyway, I was going to say that I think one of the later costumes that we have is this woman who lived, she was a Nashvilleian. Her name was Lucille Laverne. And I imagined her coming back to Nashville, but she was a stage actress in New York, and ended up then becoming a silent film star. And then finally, she was the model and the voice of the witch in Snow White in the early 30s. So I imagine that she came back to town for this big event, and was at the party. And she has one of the most beautiful costumes that we have. And then I was able to imagine that James Kirkland, who's the one, not really the founding chancellor of Vanderbilt, one who really put it on the map. And he lived in Nashville during this time, and he could have come to this party that existed. And just all kinds of little touches that we kind of went through and added into it that sort of underlie this Nashville story. If you look out the window of the parlor that is based upon Belle Meade, which again, it's art, you can see the Capitol out there. So it's all kind of mixed up, and all these little influences that are mixed up in the work. So lots and lots of inspiration. I had a good time thinking about it when I did it back in 2008, and it's really been fun to rethink about it when we get here now as we're filming it and bringing a whole new lots of new facets to it.
That's incredibly interesting. I mean, I would like to have like a little cheat sheet of all the things to look for with the Nashville influences as I'm watching the production now.
There's a lot. Yeah, in the beginning, again, music was, you can kind of do what you want with the music, and it's all my choreography except for that last part that is the traditional choreography, which is brilliant, by the way, choreography, I think. But with the way I set the first scene is in Shelby Bottoms, which is the where Shelby Park is now. And in that time, Nashville was cold enough that the park would, the water, the lowlands would freeze, and people would go and ice skate there. And so we imagined that the very first scene on people on their way to the party that Clara is at and that Drosselmeyer goes to, the magician goes to, they're skating before they go to the party. And that was something I had no idea, you know, that the Shelby Bottoms was a place outside of the city. And, you know, I learned all about the park and, you know, where all this stuff was when at the turn of the century. I mean, believe me, I can go on and on about the Centennial Exposition. I learned so much about, you know, it was done at the park, at Centennial Park. Of course, that's where it was. It was way outside of the city at the time, outside of the city proper. And the Parthenon, of course, was built then, the Parthenon that we know, and many other buildings, but that Parthenon survived. And when you see the second act, it's sort of set in the Parthenon, and we call it the Parthenon Garden. And you know, you can see some of the columns and some of the architectural influences in the scenery there. Lots of really interesting things happened. And one thing I'll say that I just learned recently, and there's a wonderful historian here named David Ewing. I don't know if you guys know him. He helped me this time a lot. And he was telling me that that this World's Fair, this exposition, was one of the, I think it was the only one that actually made money. All of the other ones, the Chicago, they were all over the country. Not all of them lost money. The Nashville one, which I think really says something about our city, it actually turned a profit. And it not only put Nashville on the map, 2 million people came to it. 2 million. The city was tiny at the time.
Wow.
It was in the like 30,000, I think, or something like that. 2 million people visited this thing that happened here. So again, I can go on and on about the inspirations and you know, all the layers that went into setting this moment in time here in our city.
And so a lot of the pavilions were created out of just paper and wood. Mm-hmm. And the Parthenon itself, it was such a big attraction that they decided we need to make this a part of Nashville, and transformed it into a permanent structure.
We rebuilt it in, I think they left it up as long as it would stand, and then they got somebody else, you know, got someone to build it into. I think it's been built twice actually, and it's really, really permanent.
Which is kind of what we do in Nashville. We just let things stay until they stand, and then let's do something else. So that's great history there. You're going to have to really put together. I'm serious. You're going to have to put together a cheat sheet of here's all the Nashville nuances.
Little things, yeah. We could do that. It'd be fun.
It would be fun. Kind of like a treasure hunt.
Yeah, right.
Find all these things in the ballet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Great stuff. So I'm going to ask the next question, which is, I think this is going to kind of go back to Cheekwood's. How do you see this being a reflection upon the mission and the goals of Cheekwood and also the Nashville Ballet, mm-hmm. and moving forward in the future beyond, let's just play with post-COVID for a while.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. So for moving forward and looking forward into the future, I am very hopeful that Cheekwood can continue to do some sort of kind of installations, interactive, and changing up the feel of the historic interior in some ways. So as museum professionals and everything, we are very focused on caring for our collections and our history and everything else. But my true passion is I never want the treasure that we have here, this Cheekwood estate, to become a stagnant representation of the past. So I want to be able to kind of continue to change up perspectives. So I feel like in a way we were able to do that with the ballet installation. So I'm looking forward to the future. I'm hoping to introduce some interventions, you could call them, I guess, in the period rooms. And my mission is to bring, contemporary artwork that complements the design or the style of the historic core, and introduces some sort of a dialogue between, the preservative nature of museums and with the creative contemporary minds of today. So kind of offering a different viewpoint for visitors if, they've been to Cheekwood, a million times before, or, this is their first time, challenging their viewpoint of how they look at museum culture, how they look at art, how they look at, kind of all that type of stuff, and challenge their creativity. So looking forward to the future, I'm really hoping to kind of get these intervention initiatives off the ground as an annual exhibition of sorts. So we'll probably do something at the holidays, and then also, something during our annual exhibition calendar. But changing up kind of the feel of the historic core is something I'm passionate about.
Awesome. Thank you. Paul?
Well, our Nashville Ballet's mission is we create, perform, teach, promote dance as an essential and inspiring element of our community. And I think the key word is inspiring. And, sometimes ballet, the word ballet can just sort of, people put up a wall or there are preconceived notions. I think that's a better way to put it. And our mission has been for a long time to kind of fight that idea or those fears by collaborating. And we're kind of known for collaborating with different art forms. And that is really so rich and valuable for us, because not only does it allow us to have different audiences, different people who may not have come to us before, come and see what we do. It also is rich inspiration for the art itself. And so, we have collaborated with, of course, Music City. We have just so many composers of all ilks that we've collaborated with, classical to pop to country, all kinds of different, and of course, Nashville is just so full of that sort of thing. And with museums and with painters and with just all kinds of different ways. And of course, we have gigantic education programs that we are always working on. And it just is for me as an individual artist, it really inspires me. So I think having this opportunity to be with Cheekwood, and I know there will be more things. I know there will be more things with Cheekwood, because we just love doing it. And it changes the art, and it brings more people to the art, as we go along. And that's really kind of embedded in who we are, this idea of collaboration and connection via other art forms and other doorways into art. Mm-hmm. So there will be more. There is, and it's like my favorite part of my job is to, when ideas come like this, what about if we could? How about if we, what happens if? That's what Katelyn does, and I was like, yeah, what up? What about that? That would be so much fun.
Well, that's the neat thing about the Nashville community. I feel like we have so many different, amazing, innovative, and creative minds here that I'm looking forward to see what kind of things we can kind of all pull our heads together, and how we will influence each other's work, and what we can kind of come up with in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
That is so true. That is so amazingly true. I mean, think of all the music and the minds that live in this city. That it's endless. The possibilities are just. And that's how Community Arts Bellevue sees it too. It's an endless stream of connectivity and of creativity, and we uplift and we uphold all of that for each other and make it all happen. And this is a shining example of how it works. I'm going to slide on to the next slide, because I think it's a stunning photograph that y'all might want to speak to.
We were just talking about this before we started.
Yeah.
This is and I'll just talk about the costume. This is the snow scene, which the previous photograph was a stage version of it. And I was wondering where they were going to put these costumes. So Katelyn was explaining it to me, but these are, they're sort of this I think of them as the color of icebergs. You know, the color of icebergs, that sort of really sort of greenish aqua blue, and then they're encrusted in crystals. I mean, they're just really Campbell just outdid himself in this photo, in this costume design. And of course, the idea of snowflake is embedded in them, and crystals is embedded into them. And I'll let Katelyn tell you. It's strangely matches.
I know. It's funny because I was, I think for many people, I mean, this is definitely my favorite scene of the ballet, or up there at the top. And trying to figure out, okay, where do you put these in a place of that's really going to make them stand out? And our morning room is the perfect fit with the amount of natural light. It kind of looks over the back lawn, so you can kind of imagine, a snowscape or something happening out back.
Mm-hmm.
But the wall color in there is perfect. It complements the costumes, the color palette of the costumes exactly. Yeah. And so many people ask me, and I'm sure we're going to get requests or questions after this this video of what the wall color is in there. And it was a custom color made from the 1930s. We did a paint analysis of all the rooms and kind of came back and figured out what the original read was. So
wow.
I'm sure I'll have to dig up that record somewhere for all the requests coming in and figure out what the original color was. You need this much yellow, you need this much cyan, you need, whatever to get this kind of combination. But yes, so these these two costumes are more or less at the final part of the walkthrough of the mansion. So the morning room is one of the last rooms you will come into on the tour of the Cheekwood mansion.
It could not be more beautiful. I mean, it's just like, this is all made to work together. We custom painted the room, just go with the outfit.
Right.
It's stunning, just stunning. I think I have one final photograph, which is the front of the mansion, which is always beautiful and stunning. So as we're going into closing here, I'd like to ask you one final question to both of you, which is, what are two takeaways that you hope the guest will encounter or realize through these types of installations or experiences?
I would say, I hope these kind of installations and these experiences foster creativity in some ways. You're challenging your perspective, you're changing your perspective on certain things. And so, you could all harken back to COVID, how we've all had to change our routines, change our status quo, more or less. And there have been some good things that have come out of it too, So trying to change your perspective on certain things, and looking forward to shaking up the status quo of sometimes of museum practices of, introducing historic and contemporary art together, or performing arts and historic museums and stuff together, and music, and what kind of creativity that can actually foster, and what ideas can kind of grow from that. So just, I guess, challenging people to kind of look differently, kind of get outside of your shell a little bit, and see what kind of will come to mind in some ways.
I would just say that, and to bounce off of that, is it's really about inspiration, right? And you want people to come into either this exhibit or our watching our performance in December on television, and be inspired and touched. Inspired to create, or inspired to connect with someone else. These experiences that, you have with art is about really this human connection that happens when you experience it together. And that would be, my hope, especially Nutcracker, especially this Nutcracker, is this feeling of connection and family and humanity is really important to me. But creativity, of course, is, it's right in our mission. So I love what Katelyn said about it.
Incredible. Well, guys, anything else y'all like to add for this evening?
Well, I guess I should talk about the operation hours for people to come now, since we've spent all this time talking about I love that. All the things I had to remember to cover about holiday lights in the beginning of Reindeer and Million Lights. So we are open to the public tomorrow. It's the first official public opening. So we run from November 20th through January 10th. We're open every day and every night, more or less. I'm sorry, we're closed on Mondays during the day. Repeat that. We're closed on Mondays during the day, but we're open every night from 5 to 10 p.m. We're closed, though, on Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, and New Year's Day. But should give plenty of time. You can reserve your tickets online. Tickets must be reserved in advance. And just know that there is, a limited number of tickets more or less available just due to social distancing, COVID restrictions, and everything else. So plan in advance, try to get your tickets in advance. But we're here until January 10th to see everything.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
Paul, anything closing statement?
Well, I would just say that we have our Nutcracker performances on television in December, and late December, December 18th. But if you want to know, get a little taste of ballet, we actually have our opening performances this weekend. They're digital. So if you go to NashvilleBallet.com, you'll see what we're doing, and there's you can kind of get a little bit of dance fix before you get into your holiday spirit right now this coming weekend. And it's we're excited about this program. We've had to reinvent a lot of things, and this is a great example of it. But super excited about Nutcracker, Nashville's Nutcracker, and being at Cheekwood too.
Fantastic. And remind us again the channels that we can see this on.
It's Channel 5, and Channel 5 is our partner in this, and they are they'll be broadcasting, and it's free. We have wonderful sponsors who are helping us to bring this to the community this year. So really look for it. Yeah, Channel 5 is the station.
That's lovely. Okay, well, I'm going to close this out this evening. Thank you amazingly to both of you, Paul and Katelyn, for sharing this evening with us and for being here. Nashville is super blessed to have both institutions here and the amazing work that you do, and the amazing work that you've continued to do throughout all this craziness and the pandemics. And we're going to find ways to continue the arts. I mean, it's been an amazing journey, I think, for all of us. Nothing that any of us expected.
Right.
We're just going to plug through together, and it's all happening. It's still beautifully happening, and I'm very proud of both of you and the community of Nashville for still doing this. So this evening, I want to close this out. Thank you all for being with us. Community Arts of Bellevue, I appreciate you being with us, and I hope you all have a really great rest of your evening. Tomorrow's Friday. Some of us are a little bit happy about that, and I hope you all have a great weekend. It's going to be a beautiful weekend, I think. I haven't really looked, but anyway, so I hope you all have a great rest of your evening. Thank you all for being with us. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.